All right, welcome in to another day of our daily Devos in the Psalms. Pastor Rick here. We are jumping into Psalm 61 because I think that's the best plan to do. Once you've finished 60s, you should just move on to 61. So we're gonna do it. Um, this one's a good one. I got a couple of good thoughts for you today. The little theme in the title here is security in God. And this is a good concept, good thing to think through, meditate on, and grow in for sure. Is making sure that we find our security in God. And this one was played on stringed instruments. So, all you cellists out there, rock and roll here. So, um, violinists are welcome, viola, if you play the viola. So, um, I was trying to think, and I don't know if the harpsichord is that considered a stringed instrument, but so just drop in the comments the classification of the harpsichord if you happen to know that, or also drop in the comments your favorite stringed instrument, and I don't think that we should count your hands. I know a lot of times people call them your 10 stringed instruments because you have 10 fingers. And so, but I think that might just trying to be clever. I think that's what it is. So, but if you want to clap and stuff while reading this psalm, I'm going to say that's okay. You can do that. So now that we have all that out of the way, we can kind of focus on security in God. Let's jump in to the text. Let's see what God has to say to us today, as we read what David wrote in this psalm. So, verse 1, God, hear my cry. Pay attention to my prayer. I call to you from the ends of the earth when my heart is without strength. And this whole my heart is without strength is just, you could pretty much insert the word exhaustion there. So, and I think this could take multiple angles. Could be mental, where you're just mentally exhausted. It could be emotional, where for whatever reason, whatever you've been going through has just drained your emotions, and so you just are feeling totally depleted and exhausted. It could be physical exhaustion, been working extra hard and that kind of thing. So, just I call to you from the ends of the earth when my heart is without strength. Man, let that be our reaction, our response to the Lord when we are exhausted, because I think that exhaustion can be one of those time frames where we make terrible decisions. We go directions we shouldn't go when we're exhausted, because I think your decision making, like, grid is a little compromised in those time frames. And so, great charge to us to kind of imitate David in this. I call to you from the ends of the earth when my heart is without strength. Lead me to a rock that is high above me. I love that reference. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I, kind of a thing. Jesus is the rock that is higher, that is high above you. Will always be there for you, always steady you. For you have been a refuge for me. And I just, again, I think this is key here, because really giving God credit for what he's done for you in the past, building your strength, your confidence, your ability to, your faith, you're really kind of adding to your faith, God's past behavior, God's past performance in the situations. So for you have been a refuge for me and a strong tower in the face of the enemy. So I have known you to be this way, Lord. I have known you to comfort me. I have known you to strengthen me. I've known you to be there, right there, straight up in the face of my enemy. And so therefore, I am going to choose verse 4. I will dwell in your tent forever and take refuge under the shelter of your wings. So because I have known you to be faithful, because I cry out to you when I'm exhausted, I'm going to dwell in your presence. I'm going to dwell in your house. This tent is kind of all of those things, like representative of all of those things. Taking refuge again, that action, that intentionality. And then again, just talking again about the shelter of your wings, nice and tight, close into the Lord. So draw near unto him, and he'll put his wings around you, cover you, and keep you safe and protected in those times. So God, you have heard my vows. You have given a heritage to those who fear your name. Add to the king's life. May his years span many generations. May he sit enthroned before God forever. Appoint faithful love and truth to guard him. Let's go back to, verse 5 and then verse 8. Then I will continually sing of your name, fulfilling my vows day by day. Because, God, you have heard my vows, and you've given a heritage to those who fear your name. So these vows a lot of times were made during petitions of prayer. And then here where it talks about in verse 8, fulfilling my vows day by day, those vows were fulfilled through thanks offerings, where they would actually sacrifice animals as a thanks offering to God for what he's done. And because, they cried out, they made some petitions before the Lord, they made some vows before the Lord, and then the Lord came through, the Lord provided, the Lord strengthened, and then they come back and they offer thanksgiving offerings. Or they might even do it proactively, in a sense, like thanking God even before the provision, even before the intervention into the situation. But there was a really interesting thing that I was reading about the thanks offerings. They were done in the General Assembly, and so they were done in front of other people. And if you were ceremonially clean, and you were around someone who was offering a sacrifice, then you were eligible to take part of that sacrifice, of that meat. And I thought, man, that is such a beautiful picture of what our Thanksgiving offerings, what our faithfulness, what our continued following the Lord, even in the midst of hard situations, how it is not just about us. It's not just about us surviving and getting through, but it is about our offering, our sacrifice before the Lord, actually then going and strengthening others, that other people can be fed by our faithfulness, fed by our endurance and our perseverance through a situation. People can be fed by our dependence upon God. So, man, sometimes your biggest success is just staying faithful through whatever you're going through, whatever situation you're going through. And you can bring strength to people. You can feed their spirit. You can strengthen them. And I thought, man, it's just like God, It's just like God to set it up that way, that when we follow him faithfully, that it doesn't just benefit us, but it actually benefits those around us, strengthens those around us. So, be thinking about that too, as you are taking refuge under the shelter of his wings, then you are actually feeding others along the way. Certainly as long as you're not being so independent and so secretive that nobody even knows you're going through anything. And so, one of the great reasons to be connected into a local church is so that you're around other people, that you're in the great assembly when you're giving your Thanksgiving offerings, because then it can go beyond. That Thanksgiving then crushes the work of the enemy in people's lives, because they see the faithfulness of God declared by somebody that has just experienced it. So powerful, so good. So kind of the little bit of recap there. Hey, if you're feeling exhausted, if you are just feeling kind of desperate without strength, God, lead us to the rock that is high above us. And we were going to remind ourselves how he has been a refuge and a strong tower for us in the face of our enemy. And we're going to intentionally take refuge in him. We're going to dwell in his tent, in his presence. We're going to day by day. That was another thing I loved, is fulfilling my vows day by day. Make it a daily thing. Make it a consistent thing day by day. And then as you're fulfilling your vows, those Thanksgiving offerings, let's make sure that we're doing it in the Great Assembly amongst other people. So if you've been out of church for a bit, you've been disconnected, man, find yourself a local body to be a part of. Commit yourself. Go there. Be there. Strengthen others. Thank God. Worship him together. And with that, I say a big, hearty God bless you. Have a great, great day today, and I will see you tomorrow.